Okay, this is the discussion for Unit 22. So the first thing, it was under the function words or morphemes. So in spoken languages, tense is often indicated by bound morphemes that attach to verbs. As in the English past tense marker ed, tense may also be indicated by separate lexical items such as last night or next year. And tense in ASL is often indicated by separate signs in a sentence and possibly also by the position of the body and location of the hands in the signing space. So I think it's important to realize, since in ASL you can't add those markers at the end of ed, so you have to express it in a different way. So it's usually expressed by a separate sign, so like last week or yesterday, tomorrow. And then you would say, instead of saying I talked to, in ASL it'd be yesterday I talked. So it's just expressed in a different way, and I feel like that's important to know. And it also, for example, a signer may lean slightly backward and to one side while talking about an event that happened earlier than another event being discussed. So I feel like as a language marker, it's very important to realize, that's actually kind of cool because you lean back and talk about something else because it happened earlier, so the person that you are speaking to knows that it's not in the present tense. And then reference provides information about the relationship between noun phrases and their reference. So for example, the English sentence, a cat is on the porch, and the cat is on the porch mean different things. And the difference in meaning comes from the use of the determiners a and the. The same holds true for ASL. So for the boy is silly, it's boy, and then you would point to specifically you're talking about is silly. And then just for a boy is silly, it would just be boy is silly. So the reference provides like an individual that you would be talking about. So it's like girl or man, woman. And then if it isn't somebody specific, then it would just be, man, silly, boy, silly. And then deixis, I think I'm pronouncing that right, marks the orientation or position of objects and events with respect to certain points of reference. For example, a teacher in a classroom asks the students, do you have any questions about that, while pointing to a problem on the blackboard. So the pronoun you is considered an example of personal deixis and refers to the students. The word that is an example of spatial deixis, and to understand it, the students must be able to see what it refers to. So, and then a third kind of deixis, temporal deixis, the position of or orientation of actions or events in time, is accomplished with separate lexical items or bound morphemes, such as the ones we discussed with relation to tense. So I feel like this is very important to know in the ASL language, because when you talk about certain things that you're not specifying in your signs, you got to be able to point to them in order to reference them. So I feel like that's very important to understand. And all of these can be very beneficial while being an interpreter and very important to the language. Very important to understand.